This is Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi.
All right, this one is going to be a hard one to swallow. So be prepared, especially if you're on YouTube and you see our graphic. Only 8 years. That's what we're about to get to for a horrific story. Little warning there. And by the way, if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss any of our episodes. And if you're listening on the podcast feed, wherever it may be, hit subscribe there as well so you don't miss any of our coverage of these cases. This is a tale of a Louisiana mother, 24-year-old Summer Buxton. She just got sentenced to 8 years in prison after pleading guilty to manslaughter in the overdose death of her 2-year-old son, Keynan Jay Buxton. And while 8 years might sound like a decent chunk of time, if you can't count, they were expecting something much harsher, at least like 20 years or more. And they're making it very clear that they think justice was barely served. So what exactly happened? Well, back in May of 2023, the 30th to be exact, authorities found little Keynan unresponsive in a motel room. Now, kids get into things all the time, but when the toxicology report came back, it painted a truly horrifying picture. This toddler had meth, fentanyl, and acetyl fentanyl in his system. That's not just an accidental exposure, that's a fatal amount of drugs for a fully grown adult or an elephant. Let alone a baby who probably still needed help getting shoes on the right feet. During the sentencing, Buxton's sister, who goes by Lyons, didn't hold back. She gave an emotional and furious victim impact statement, calling for the maximum penalty. In her eyes, Summer showed zero remorse. Not a shred of guilt, not a moment of reflection. Instead, according to Lyons, Summer was more focused on keeping her OnlyFans account running than mourning the loss of her son. And just when you think it couldn't get any more absurd, Lyons also claimed that Summer was bragging about her sugar daddy footing the bill for her legal defense. It's a strange world out there that we live in. Imagine being in that situation. Your child is gone, your family is shattered, and instead of taking accountability, you're flexing about who's paying your lawyer fees. Your sugar daddy from OnlyFans.
That's horrible.
It's not like a sugar, it's a chronic masturbator who pays you. It's what that is. Buxton's mother, Tammy Abishire, echoed the outrage. She said the family fully expected at least a 20-year sentence, not a measly 8. And then Lyons dropped a brutal comparison. How do you give someone 8 years for the death of her child, but you get 10 years for animal abuse? And honestly, she's got a point. In some states, if you go so much as to harm a police dog, you're looking at life behind bars. If you harm any animal in some states, 10 years. And rightfully so.
And she gets 8.
And Summer got what happened to her 8 years for being that negligent and that's stupid. And clearly she's going to continue to be that way if her main focus is sugar daddy and OnlyFans after her son dies because of her incompetence.
And it's so sad to me because there was obviously people in this little boy's life who loved him, the grandma and an aunt, and I'm sure there was others. You know, if she can't care for him, obviously she can't, then let your parents help you. You know, do what's right for this child. Give the child a chance.
Well, clearly that family cared about the kid, and I can only imagine the struggles they were dealing with her. Yeah.
I can't imagine what they've gone through.
Because you're at a impasse there where you're the grandparents, but she's an adult now and she's making horrible decisions and she's in charge of a child. it's very difficult to be able to step in there and take control. It takes a lot of work, and there has to be a lot of missteps by mom that can be pointed to get in there. And if, unfortunately, it usually comes down to something like this, where someone almost dies or then does die, for that to be able to be stepped in upon.
Just horrific.
Buxton's defense team tried their best to spin the narrative. Their argument, this was a tragic accident. You know, mom just happens to have fentanyl and meth and all that shit around the house. Totally normal. Totally normal. Unfortunately, in some parts of the country, it really is. This was all a tragic accident, and Summer was suffering from a severe drug addiction that completely clouded her judgment. Well, then she shouldn't be a mom.
Exactly.
They claim she wasn't in her right mind. Well, then she shouldn't have a kid around her. And that manslaughter was too harsh. No, it's not. And that the charge should have been negligent homicide instead. But the DA wasn't buying it. They refused to lower the charge, but in the end, they still cut her a deal that her attorneys called fair and reasonable. Almost like fair and balanced. It's like, yeah, bullshit. Meanwhile, let's not forget about Keynan's father, Adrian Higgins. He was arrested too and ended up with a 10-year sentence after pleading guilty to manslaughter. So if you're keeping score, mom got 8 years, dad got 10, and yet the child is still gone, and the family is left wondering if justice was really served.
And it wasn't.
It wasn't. And just when you think the story is over, there's more. Buxton was actually arrested again in January 24 at a motel in Mississippi, because apparently motels are a reoccurring theme in her life. Just wait till there's more kids, and God knows there will be with only 8 years. And if that wasn't enough, another woman connected to this case was arrested too. Her court date is coming up March 3rd. Who she is and exactly what her role is still unclear, but it seems like a tangled mess of a case that is not done unraveling quite yet. So what do we take away from this? At the heart of it?
My guess is the three of them were doing drugs together.
Yeah.
And they had him sitting around the room, and this happened. And I read somewhere, and I tried to find out more about the dad, and I really couldn't.
Yeah.
But part of his charges was basically, I can't think of the exact charge, but he left the son.
Yeah.
Like, knew that the son was in crisis, and he left.
Yeah. Like a great parent does.
Yeah.
And that's the sad and scary part about this, because it's
within days is like posting on OnlyFans again.
These people are going to keep repeating the same cycle. In 8 years and 10 years, they'll both be probably like within 5 to 7 with good behavior. And then they're going to go start fucking again.
Well,
and they're going to make more kids. And those kids are going to repeat the same pattern because they got these shit parents for parents. And this is one of those where it's like, hey, can we get like court-ordered castration going on here to prevent either of you from ever having children again? Because clearly it's not your forte, and let's not ruin the world or more people and more lives by you guys, creating just because you have the capability.
And I like to think that people can change.
I don't.
I don't.
I like to accept.
I don't think they frequently do.
I like to accept that people can't.
But
life is easier that way.
Even if you were that kind of outlook on the world, well, people can change. Is it worth risking a child's life over maybe she can change?
No, it's not. Especially when you already got one in the grave.
And I think this kid, I don't know what happened to it, but I think this kid had a sibling that also passed away. Now, I don't know if that was from natural causes or what happened. But I think this woman's had 2 kids.
User error, at the part of the parent.
And chances are user. That's key. I wonder if she wasn't getting prenatal care and maybe the other child was never born healthy.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, well, it's not a far crier, I guess. At the heart of it, this is an absolute tragedy. A 2-year-old lost his life in a situation that never should have happened. A child that young doesn't just stumble upon fentanyl and meth on his own and goes, hey, let's get high.
And he was the cutest little kid.
He's in an environment where that was accessible, and that's what makes this so enraging. Some people will argue that 8 years is enough. After all, Summer was an addict, and addiction is a disease, but you have to see this side. The people who see this as a complete failure of justice, which it is. They see a mother who should have been protecting her child, but instead put him in an environment where he didn't get to stand a chance or a second chance. And now she'll serve a sentence that realistically could cut even shorter with good behavior. And at the end of the day, no amount of prison time is bringing Keynan back. But the question lingers, did the punishment fit the crime?
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
8 years. God help the world. God help anybody that is going to interact with this woman and any more children that she reproduces, because they're fucked.
The latest true crime stories, expert breakdowns, and shocking twists, all in one place. Press subscribe now to the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. You just made it through an episode of Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. Congrats on surviving the ads. Want to skip them completely next time?
What is that?
Join the True Crime Today Premium Plus channel on Apple Podcasts. Ad-free episodes, exclusive early access, and no interruptions. Just pure crime storytelling. Try it free for 3 days. Don't wait.
Bitchin' stuff, dude.
Hit subscribe now on Apple Podcasts and get ahead of the mystery.
You know what I'm saying?